Hi, welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Coach Pete and Gloria. Today, Pete, how about we look at what are some of the insights and strategies that we might offer people that are aspiring leaders and really wanting to pay attention to their personal and professional growth? What are your thoughts? How was your journey towards developing your leadership skills? How has that influenced you in your life?
Yes, I think it's really important, no matter what profession our clients are in or people are in, whatever careers they have, leadership is really significant in almost every type of job or career. And for me, it was a long and winding road of learning, ups and downs, for sure.
Definitely. Not just ups and downs, but upside downs at times, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, and in those, when you get turned upside down, how do you find your way back to your center? What's that look like for you?
Well, for me, it took a long time for me to really look at what my role was in any of the downs or even ups of my career. I I I I wasn't that aware of my own participation, my own percentage. Like a lot of people say, every relationship is 50-50.
Hmm.
I think that's a good lesson. No matter what troubles we have, it's personal or on the job or with the boss or with people working for us, we should own at least 50% of that relationship, right?
Hmm.
And I didn't look at my role in some of the difficulties I had in the corporate world, kind of butting up against authority. And it wasn't until I really opened up and looked at, hey, what did I learn about authority in my upbringing, in my development as a person over the years, that then it began to make a lot of sense to me. And it doesn't have to take forever if you have some guidance to take a look at these things, and which I didn't. I was alone with it, uh, by choice.
Hmm.
And so it took me a while to learn, but it doesn't have to take forever to look at these things.
Yeah, for me, I like to, I've just, what can I own? So when I own something, then I'm taking responsibility for it. And so, regardless of what percentage I believe I am owning in the relationship, I've got some kind of skin in the game, or it's not really going to even matter to me. And so, whenever there's been a rupture in a relationship, then I really want to be able to be honest with myself and own what I am responsible for. And that's really been a big, um, I don't know, I've made a lot of gains in that area by taking responsibility and really listening for and owning the impact that I had in someone else's life, and whether that's perceived as life-serving or not so life-serving. Either way, that's really been an important skill set to develop, is to really listen deeply and also be honest, really deeply.
I think that's really a great thing to think about is ownership. Right, you're right. It doesn't matter the percentage, but own the relationship, own the situation. What am I bringing to this that's helping cause problems? Then you can make decisions either to move on if it's a job or move on if it's a relationship. If you're giving it all and you're looking at things, maybe it is the other person that's not right for you, that's not uplifting, that's not supportive. But there's a lot of that where what are you bringing to the relationship?
Mhm.
One of the things, if I may talk about, in some of the work that I used to do with men who are caught up in the domestic violence world with their partners, I used to do this very simple exercise. I think it's very helpful. I would ask the men to describe what's an ideal boss or manager that you've had.
Mm.
The or just describe what it would be to have a good manager, boss. And they would list things, like respect, listen, delegate, um, all these wonderful qualities that they looked for in a good boss, right? So we looked at that and they felt safe to do that. Then I
Mm.
flipped it on them. I said, how does that apply to a relationship? And it was amazing how they made that shift, some of them, to wow, that's what makes a good relationship also. So it's good to look at, what makes a good situation, like a boss or a manager. And then you can flip it. What makes a good relationship, whether it's with a partner, whether it's with a daughter or a son, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What makes that good relationship? And then you look at your role in it. Am I bringing those qualities? Am I being respectful? Am I listening? Am I guiding without judgment? All these things that these men listed, about a good boss, because we all know what a good boss would be, right? So it's an interesting exercise that can help in a lot of our relationships.
Absolutely. And I really like also what you did there is you helped them to recognize how they define something. Because how we define something is actually how we create our reality because of those definitions. And so that can also be a new skill set is they can begin to recognize whoever they are, how they define something, and then they can step back and they can look at this and say, is this really what I want to create? And if it's not, they can now write a new definition and they can begin to recognize when they're stepping into their old definition and they can come back to their new definition. And so that's also a real beautiful way to continue on down that path of developing skill sets as a leader.
Absolutely. And if you create that, if you help people create that, then they can look at themselves and say, well, am I being that? Am I bringing that? Am I bringing those qualities to the relationship that I had just said would be valuable? Well, where's my role? Where's my, part in that? And I think that's leadership. It
Truly.
comes down to leadership.
Yeah, so this would be an exercise that would be great for our listeners to step into and see what it's like. Take a moment in your own life in an activity that you've just done, in an event you've just participated in, or just in a relationship you're in, and take a moment and pause and reflect on it for a moment and recognize how did it go? Are you pleased with it? Do you like the definition you've created? Would you like something slightly different? But really take a moment to be with it and be honest with yourself. What percentage can you own about what you've done, and what would you like to see different, if anything? But just to explore that, as you said, it's really important to take the time to explore your own inner world in order to recognize what you want to create as you move forward.
And in that way, it's very empowering because we're not giving up control. We're not giving up power over us. We're taking responsibility to be what we've just created in our wonderful list. And the list should be pretty extensive. What makes a good leader, a good boss, a good manager, slash a good person in a relationship, a good father, a good partner.
And by good, we mean that it's going to serve your life well.
Right, right. It's always what do we mean by good? Um,
Life
but
serving,
by that I mean I think what we're talking about is uplifting, supportive, forward thinking, positive.
helpful.
Let's do together,
Yeah,
teamwork.
absolutely. Thanks, Pete. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, Gloria.